Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome on in. Welcome to the 411 podcast. Now, that was an introduction. That definitely was an introduction. Y'all said y'all wanted more music. You got more music. I say that's an introduction. I almost wanted to let that thing rock out. But we are here. Thank you so much for joining Financial Fridays on the 411 podcast. Before we go ahead and get started, I want to go ahead and give a very special thank you to my executive producer. Thank you, God, for giving me another opportunity to come out here and do the 411 podcast, to come out here and give what I know how to give best. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you out there for liking, subscribing, checking in, letting me know how you feel about this movement. I must say that y'all definitely did the thing when it came to reading between the lines. I had special guest author Birdman 313 come through, and we have been having some amazing sessions together. So thank you so much for rocking with reading between the lines. Here again tonight, Financial Fridays. We're getting ready to go in. Track 29. My Momma is my biggest bill. This is Disc 5 Restoration, the 411 podcast. So let's get right on into this. So now, previous episode, we spoke about Miss Kalia. Kalia, 32, from Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, shout out to everyone out there from the Carolinas. And I want to say thank you so much for joining. And if you could please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, invite them in. Just do whatever you can do to help support. I definitely do appreciate that. Miss Kalia, 32, from Charlotte, North Carolina. She was in this on and off relationship with Brandon. And basically, he's been draining her pockets. Just keep it real. He's been draining her pockets, this on and off again relationship. And it seems like whenever she has money, he comes around. Whenever she doesn't have any money, he disappears. And she even has gone so far as giving his mom some money and racking up $9,000 in credit card debt, draining 2 savings accounts and a whole bunch of other different things, paying tickets and past rent and helping with lawyer fees and all types of nonsense. This was a true example of someone who does not know who they are, someone who is seeking outside of themselves for validation in other people, places, and material things. And here we go, another scenario just like that. And I've said it before, and I continue to say it again. When you do not know who you are, other people can sense that. The narcissistic person type can sense that, and they will pick you up and they will sell you a dream. They will make you feel like you are everything, like you're on cloud nine until they get you right where they want to get you. And they will shape you and they will mold you and they will put you into a position of you becoming somebody that they want you to be. Not who you want to be, who they want you to be. And then when reality hits and all of a sudden you wake up and you realize what happened, that's when the resentment comes in. That's when the attitude comes in. That's when the guilt comes in. And that's when things go. So be careful, people. If you want to find out how this whole thing went down, and I'm not going to say advice, but opinions that we gave to Miss Kalia, go ahead and watch that replay. It is available on YouTube. You can also get wherever you listen to most major podcasts. I know offhand it's on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Pocket Cast, and so many others out there. And again, if it is not available where you get your local podcast at, please just shoot me a message. You can me or you can text me and let me know, and we will try our best to get the 411 podcast, Reading Between the Lines, put on that specific platform. We got a good one tonight. Track 29. My Momma is my biggest bill. Let's get into this song of the day. Your Mom's in My Business by K Solo, released in 1990 off of his album Tell the World My Name. So, for the hip hop fans out there, if you remember this song, I love it because it has a little sample from Frankie Beverly and Maze, Before I Let Go. But it starts off, your mom's in my business. She's in my business. Can't you see, girl, that your mom's trying to end this? So tell your mom to mind her business. And then, of course, the Frankie Beverly, Sample comes in before I let go. Now, how many relationships, how many business moves, how many friendships in general, just people's lives in general, are affected by parents? But tonight we speaking about someone's mom just being all up in a business. But I know it could be grandparents, it could be aunts, it could be uncles, it could be anybody. But basically where I'm coming from is how many people out there are affected by a parent or a guardian or whatever monitoring people who live vicariously through you. But you're not a teenager, you're not underage. I'm talking about people who are adults. Maybe you might still be living at home, maybe you're not. If you're still living at home and this is happening, I could kind of see why, maybe. Not that it's right, but I can understand why, because you're still in a household. And in some cases, some people feel that as long as you live underneath their house, you have to live by their rules. But what happens when you're a grown, full adult? I've experienced this, not on my end, but I was dating somebody where their mother would enter into the apartment, had keys to the apartment, snooping around checkout in the apartment, full grown adult, late 20s, early 30s. How is this possible? So, how many relationships, how many friendships, how many business moves, how many lives in general are just affected by someone else living and controlling by living vicariously through someone else? The one thing that I have to say is that your parents have lived their lives. You have to live your life. Your parents have lived their lives and they're going to continue to live their life. And the question, if anybody is experiencing something like this, is when are you finally going to get up and start living your life? Because if you feel that you are being controlled by a parent or a guardian or someone who is overseeing you, and I'm not talking about people who are underage, I'm talking about people who are of age, you have a job, you have a career, you started your life, you're trying to start your life, but you just have this shadow hovering over you because someone's still pulling all of the strings, telling you what you can and cannot do. It's an issue. See, God has put us on this earth to focus on self and has given us a task of something that is called self control. And nowhere in the instructions, at least that I know, and again, I'm not claiming to be a genius. So if there's anybody out there that knows something that I don't know, please let me know what scripture it is and I can go back and I can do my research. But to my knowledge, nowhere in it does it say that we are to control another human being. He's given us power to control and have dominion over everything in this earth. But nowhere did it say another human being. Now, one thing that I do know is that it is a full-time job focusing on that thing that I call self-control. And one thing that I do know is that we are not responsible for managing someone else's nervous system. We are not responsible for making somebody else happy. Everything starts with self. So if you are in a situation such as when we go back to this K Solo joint where your mom's just all up in the business, might be ruining a situation, might be getting into a situation, might be stirring up a situation. Just like this song here, tell your mom to mind her business before I let go. So whatever you might be holding on to, whatever you might be striving to, whatever you might be focusing on, if someone else is hovering over, pulling all the strings, telling you you can't do this and you can't do that and you should do this and you should do that, and you're not able to think for yourself and you're not able to make moves for yourself, just remember that last part of that song, before I let go. Because either you gonna let go or what's on the other end might let go. Song of the day, Your Mom's in Our Business by K Solo, released in 1990 of his album Tell the World My Name. Now, Y'all ready? Because we're getting ready to get into this Financial Fridays. We have a letter here, and this is from Cleveland, Ohio. And before I get into this letter, if you'd like me to just review, help you out, give you our opinion here on the 411 podcast, you most certainly can text me at 609-200-1098. You can email me at info@larengaines.com. You can DM me on any of my social media platforms. If you'd like it to remain anonymous, I got you. We have a great way of figuring all of that stuff out. Just let us know how you feel about it. Again, info@larengaines.com, 609-200-1098. Let's get into tonight's assignment. Jordan is 33 years old from Cleveland, Ohio, and he works in IT security. He's always been a responsible one in his family, and that responsibility has turned into a financial exhaustion. His mom is 59 years old, unemployed, and refuses to work or downsize. She calls him for money weekly, not for emergencies, but for stuff like nails, hair, Uber rides, and her weed habit. And yes, she's very bold about it. He recently totaled up what he sent her over the past year, and it's more than $12,000. That's a used car, that's a trip that he never took, and that's therapy that he never started. He loves his mom, but he hates the feeling of being her ATM. He feels stuck between guilt and goals. And his question is, how do I cut the cord financially and still be a good son? Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. If you are out there, please go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, text a friend, invite them in. Thank you all so much for joining. Take it to the top. My name is Jordan, 33 years old from Cleveland, Ohio, and I work in IT security. I've always been the responsible one in my family, and that responsibility has turned into financial exhaustion. My mom is 59, unemployed, and refuses to work or downsize. She calls me for money weekly, not for emergencies, but for stuff like nails, hair, Uber rides, or her weed habit. And yes, she's bold about it. I've recently totaled up what I've sent her over the past year, and it's more than $12,000. That's a used car. That's a trip I never took. That's therapy I never started. I love my mom, but I hate this feeling of being her ATM. And I feel stuck between guilt and goals. How do I cut the cord financially and still be a good son? Let's take this to the top here. Mr. Jordan is 33 years old from Cleveland, Ohio, and he works in IT security. Sounds like he has a decent job here. He's always been the responsible one. So when I hear something like that, I've always been the responsible one. In most families, there's always that one that will sort of take the lead, whether it comes from a spiritual aspect, where it comes from a financial aspect, to be able to help change the dynamic and shift the dynamic of that family. And he says that this responsibility has turned into financial exhaustion. I get this part. And when you are set apart from your family, it can feel a little exhausting. It can feel a little overwhelming, especially in the beginning when you're trying to figure out who you are and figure out what your purpose is and what the plan is and what God has put you here to do. But I would say that that's just temporary. Because this here, even though it sounds the way it sounds right off the bat, this is a good letter. Now, this part is not his mom is 59, unemployed. Big question why. 59 years old, unemployed. I don't see anything about unable to work, but I do see this here, refuses to work or downsize. So refuses to work, that's a problem because that means that you can work, but you're not working. And then downsize. This is a problem with a lot of people living beyond their means. Maybe things were good before, situations change, the economy changes, lifestyles changes, life can happen, which would you know, cause us to reevaluate our lives and make some decisions. Typically, as we get older and the family, the children leave the nest, you would want to downsize. As you get older, you want to downsize and get something a little bit smaller. Maybe you don't need all of those extra rooms because of the kids are not there, the children aren't there. So I don't know what this situation looks like, but refuses to work and downsize is a problem. Now, right there, it states it right there, refuses to work and refuses to downsize. So this part I don't get. She calls me weekly for money. Why? Why would she call you weekly for money when she's capable of working? Now, if she refuses to work or she refuses to downsize or do anything to help save money or to move things in her financial favor, this next part where she calls and asks for money weekly, we would have to put a stop to that, because it's not like you can't work, you refuse to work. And it's not for food, it's not for emergencies, but it's for stuff like hair, nails, Uber rides, and this part is a trip here, her weed habit. And she's very bold about it. So she's letting you know. And she's probably doing the most. And all of that right there, if that's not a good enough reason to say no, I don't know what else is. You recently totaled up the past year expenses that you paid for her, and it was more than $12,000. Now, because of that, you've clearly listed that that's a used car that you could have purchased. That's a trip that you never took. You wanted to, but you couldn't because you put money into that situation there. And that's therapy I never started. And you said it right there. You said it loud and clear, therapy that I never started. So clearly there are some issues, which, listen, everybody has their own issues and we've all been through stuff. But this is why I letter, because you are identifying it. You're hitting almost all of these nails right on the head. And if therapy is what you need to get away from some of this situation, these manipulative situations, I would go ahead on and do it. I would get that used car if that's what you want to do. I would take that trip if that's what you want to do. Enroll yourself into therapy if that's what you want to do. Do the things that you want to, because this is your life. Your mother is 59 years old and already lived her life, raised her kids, whatever the situation is, and she still needs to continue to live her life. But what you can't do is you can't do it for her. And by you giving her money and enabling her and continuing this repetitive cycle, she's not going to do anything different except do what she knows how to do best and ask you for money. So if you'd like this situation to stop, it's a simple, complete sentence of no. And what will make it easier for you is for you to actually go out and do and buy and purchase and make your money moves the way you want to do it. Because then when she comes to ask you for money, when you don't have it, you don't have it. It's not like it would be a lie. You're telling her the truth. And when it comes to family, I've had this, conversation before on here, because I've had people tell me, Laren, my family know that, I have a little bit of money. My family knows what I have in my emergency fund. They know what I have, and they ask me for money. Number one, stop telling people what you have. I don't care who it is, friends, family, this, that, the next, the other. Whatever you have, whatever situations you have financially, the person who helped you get there, that's the person who you should be having the conversations with. The Most High. God. You want to converse, you want to ask questions, you want to go back and forth, you want to share the joy, you want to, get back. Start there first. Don't tell people how much money you got, what money moves you got, what you're thinking about doing, because the people who sometimes people don't mean us well. People don't, they're looking out for their own best interests. And their ears will start to perk up. And once they know what you have, and now they're digging in your pockets before you even know what the hell hit you. So be careful with that. When it comes to family, it's okay to tell them I don't have it Because just like it's in your emergency, that's what it's for, an emergency. That does not mean that I can go in there and dig out just because you asked me for, money here and there. I might have it, but I don't have you. That's not a lie. I don't have it to give you. I don't have it. Absolutely not. This is for an emergency. And me fueling your weed habit, me fueling to get your hair done and nails done, anything big, that is not an emergency. So that is not a lie. When you specifically label money and categorize it and put it into a specific bucket, put it into a specific category and put that name on it, that's exactly what that means. So to tell a family member I don't have it, some people might be feeling guilty because they look at it and they see that they have money in there, but then they tell a family member that they don't have it. That's exactly what that means. You don't have it to give at that moment. Because if to give, you would give it. But the fact that your emergency fund, or the fact that your sinking fund, or the fact that you're saving for a car, you're saving for a trip, you're doing this, you're doing that, this is for tuition, this is for this bill, that's for that bill, that's what that means. That's not for them. So I want to feel a certain way about that. Be very careful about letting family members guilt you and people saying, please don't forget where you came from. I'm not going to forget where I came from. I know where I came from, and I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm doing whatever I need to do to make sure that I go back. Fooling around with you, fooling your weed habit, fueling every little thing that you want and asking and nickel and diming the situation. If I continue to fall into that trap, yeah, you're right. I won't forget where I come from, because if I keep playing games, I'm going to be right back there. So don't let people trick you into that too. Oh, you think you got so big that you forgot where you came from. Don't forget where you came from. Absolutely right. I most certainly won't, because whatever I experienced from a childhood, whatever I experienced here, whatever I experienced there, I'm going to hustle, grind, shake things up, and do whatever I have to do to make sure that I never go back. And remember, wherever you come from, those people might still be there, and they might be stuck there, and they might be content being there. So don't forget where you come from, because you don't want to be that. You've moved past that. You've gotten up out of that. You pulled yourself out of it. So you have to be careful to make different types of moves to make sure that you don't get back. Jordan loves his mom, but he hates the feeling of being her ATM. He feels stuck between guilt and goals, and he wants to know, how does he cut the cord financially and still be a good son? The big issue here is that what you're doing here today, what Jordan is doing here today, makes him, I won't want to say a bad son, but you're not being a good son. You're not being a good son by enabling. And anybody out there that's giving money to family members that refuse to get up and take responsibility for themselves, you are not being a good son, a good brother, a good uncle, a good cousin, a good grandson, whatever the case may be. When you are fueling and enabling people in their situations and not empowering them to get up and do it for themselves, you're just covering a Band-Aid, trying to cover old wounds up with money. You are not doing them a favor. You are keeping them stuck, and it's going to come back to bite you and them in the future. And it's going to obviously cost you financially. It ain't going to cost them financially because they on for this free ride, but you will be drained in ways that you can't even imagine. You need to be very careful. I think that this is a good letter. One of the better letters that have been written in. And the reason why, because this is signs of breaking generational curses. And I'm going to break it down, because clearly Jordan realized that he was the responsible one in his family. Sounds like he's the only one who gets it when it comes to being able to handle money properly. That's a good thing. I don't know how many siblings, if there's any, but he is the one who has the gift, which is great. The fact that he recognized that this is a problem and is trying to do something about it, verbalizing that there needs to be a change here, that's a good thing. He knows how much money he's given her. He's already totaled everything up. It seems like he knows what is going where. That's a good thing. The only other issue is that we just need to learn how to say no. We need to learn how to say no, and we need to do specific things and get our mindset positioned to make sure that we don't come across this type of personality in the future. Because what I've seen and I've heard is that when people experience things from childhood, they'll turn around and they will get into a relationship or they will marry somebody who is just like one of their parents because it's basically familiarity. They cling to and they attract what's familiar because what's unfamiliar becomes awkward and they feel that it takes them out of their comfort zone. It's almost being comfortable being in a toxic situation, being comfortable to some dysfunctional types of relationships or dysfunctional behavior. So people who come from dysfunctional families, they typically will cling to and start up another dysfunctional situation unless they're bold enough and strong enough to be able to break a generational curse. The fact that you are writing in this situation lets me know that you're already working towards breaking this thing and shaking this thing up because you work. You want to go on trips. You want to go on vacations. You want to do something a little bit different. You know how much money has been wasted. You know that it doesn't sit right in your soul, and you are speaking on it now. You just need the tools and you need the support to be able, and their encouragement to be able to just tell people no. So I think that this is a good situation here. Um, as far as looking towards the future, being able to turn this thing around and say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to focus on me. And I think you'd be in a good situation in the future if you learn how to say no and start to have boundaries and set some standards for any future situations that come in. And getting that therapy that you spoke about earlier would definitely be key to help prevent you from getting wrapped up or trapped up with someone who has some of the same narcissistic personalities as what your mom has. So that's what I have for tonight. If anybody feels differently about this, please feel free to reach out to me. You can text me at 609 200 1098. Again, that number is 609 200 1098. That is the official 411 podcast Reading Between the Wines hotline. And before I move on to the next segment, which, I love, which is burning questions, I just want to pause for a moment and say thank you because there has been a shift in this show. This is not the same show that I was broadcasting when I first started in 2020. Around 2022, I started to get very clear with my message as far as what I needed to do, what I've been put here to do. So I had to break away from certain relationships. I had to stop with certain collaborations, and I had to get focused on the content that I was producing. Because what started off one way changed midway through. And again, this is the evolution process of it. Once again, we did another pivot and we evolved again into what we have here today. Back in 2020, when I first started, I had no idea that this would be the calling and this would be just so direct where we are here today. Now I see the future even more. But for the people who continuously come back and watch and support and are on this journey, I say thank you. And for the people who say, Laren, this is just not for me, I've had people tell me that. I say thank you to those too, because that lets me know that this content is just not for you. And by you walking away from something and not feeling obligated just because, you were here in the beginning, or, you know, there's so many different other reasons why. Oh, because you were a friend or a family member. Well, if it's not for you and you walk away from this, that's probably one of the best things that you can do for me. Because what I can do at that moment is get a real snapshot of the people who really are here, people who really are supportive. And when you walk away, you have an empty seat for someone who is willing and someone who needs this information to come and sit in your seat. If something's not for you, and this has nothing to do with the 411 podcast, has nothing to do with me, in your life in general, something is not for you, walk away from it. Because the minute that you walk away from it, the next best thing is right around the corner. So if this is not home for you, you walk away from it, the next best thing that you can call home is right around the corner. So I'm going to say no more. I'm going to say no more. I said what I had to say, but I'm just amazed and overjoyed at the progress that has been made so far in just the past year with starting up Black Diamond Consultations and everything. So thank you again, and amazing. We have so many new people who have come along to support, and yeah, any feedback that you have on the show, I'm always here. You can text me, you can DM me, you can let me know. Burning questions. At what point does helping family become enabling? And are you willing to lose your future trying to save theirs? At what point does helping family become enabling? And are you willing to lose your future to save theirs? Now, I would say the point where helping family becomes enabling is when they can get up and do it for themselves. If you are taking care of an elderly family member because they can't do it themselves, something happened, someone lost a job, or this is just a temporary situation, and there's some guidelines, there's some boundaries set. I don't necessarily think that that's enabling, especially if you're taking care of a parent, an elderly parent. But if you have a parent or a family member who is capable of getting up and doing for themselves, but yet they refuse to, or they might have a slothful personality or a lazy personality, I think that's a problem. And the minute that you continuously do stuff over and over again for someone who can get up and do it for themselves, yes, that's considered enabling. And when you do that, all you are doing is subtracting from your situation. You're subtracting from your future. And like I said before, your parents lived their lives. And some of them still are going to be living continuously living their lives. But when are you going to get up and start living yours? Because if you're constantly digging and doing backflips and ripping and running here to there, all over the place to take care of somebody else and do for somebody else, and yet they can do it for themselves, you're not living your life. You're basically living for them. And you are losing your future. And you will continue to lose your future trying to help save and get them where they need to be. I spoke about this analogy a couple weeks ago, and I'll keep bringing it up because once it came to me, it was so profound. Picture yourself being on a ladder. The person that you are trying to help they have both feet planted on the ground. You got one arm on one ladder rung. You got one foot on another ladder rung. And now you're bending down with your arm and taking one leg off to try to pull that person up who has both feet planted on the ground. How do you think that scenario is going to play out? Who's going to have more strength? Are you going to be able to pull that person who has both feet planted on the ground up? Or is it going to be easier for them to pull you off the ladder knowing that you have taken both your one hand off and one foot off to try to help pull them up. Who do you think is going to win in that situation? It's far easier for someone who's planted on the ground, someone who's at rock bottom, to pull you off and down from your goals rather than you being able to pull them up to your level. So while you're ripping and running and doing, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. So while you're ripping and running and doing backflips and trying to piece everything together and glue everything together and hold everything together, you are stripping yourself and depriving yourself of the future that you could potentially have to help try to save somebody else who already had a shot at theirs, but they refuse to do the right thing. I have a problem with that. And I might be considered what some people might say the black sheep of the family. I do things a little bit differently. I never went along with the plan. And that's okay. And I'm all right with that. But one thing that I've never done is try to, not in my family dynamic aspect, relationships, that might be a whole nother story, but I learned my lesson there. But when it comes to family, you can't take everybody with you. And when it comes to relationships too, you can't take everybody with you. And one thing that I have truly learned, and God has taught me my lesson, when people don't want to do things the way you want them to do it, or might think that it might be best for them to do it, you can't get upset. You can't get upset. You can't step out of your character. You can't do anything except sit in that moment and allow people to show up and be who they are. You can't control anybody else's situation. That's when I spoke earlier at the top of the show. It's called self-control. The only person that you can control is self. And if you have family members, if you have friends, if you have spouses, you have significant others, people who do not want to move in the direction that you're moving in, the only thing that I have to say about that is absolutely okay. As harsh and crazy and weird as it might sound, that is absolutely okay. The minute that you get up and continue to take responsibility for yourself and focus on self, everything starts with self, things will start to click in. Either you're going to get the wisdom, the strength, the courage, the energy to back up off of that situation, or the person is going to see that you're no longer enabling, you're no longer fixing, you're no longer picking up, you're no longer cleaning up. You're no longer being that cleanup woman, that cleanup man. That was a Betty Wright situation. You're no longer being that cleanup person. Then they will start to make a decision. And their decision is either they're going to continue to try to push their little agenda so that you can continue to try to do for them. And then you can be a little bit more wiser and be like, okay, now at least I know what I'm dealing with. Now, what decisions are we going to make here? What conversations do we need to have with God in order to pull us up or pull us up out of these trenches here? Which one is it going to be? Because at the end of the day, as sad as it may seem, but as real as it might be, it's going to be either you or them. It's going to be either them or you. So which one is it going to be? Burning question. At what point does helping family become enabling? And are you willing to lose your future by trying to save theirs? What I have to say about that is absolutely not. If you'd like to chime in on tonight's burning question, please text me at 609 200 1098. Again, that number is 609 200 1098. That is the official 411 Podcast Burning Questions Hotline. I want to say thank you all so much. I'm just in a very grateful mood today. This has been a very powerful week. I can put it that way. A very powerful week, a very eye-opening week. I am very thankful and grateful that I am still here. Despite what could have happened, it didn't happen. God blocked all types of negativity, all types of drama, all types of situations. I can let you know what my playlist has been like this week. I listened to songs like Love yourself. Because I needed a reminder. My girl Mary, sound that my girl has been rock. I've been rocking with my girl since I was 11 years old, and it's songs that I can just go back like "Love Yourself." That reminds me, you got to stay open and don't be foolish, because not everybody means you well. Songs like that, songs like "No More Drama" to remind me that the drama is over. But as you get to meet new people and you have new situations, because this is life, this is going to be happen. This is life, and this is going to happen. You better know your friends, or else you will get burned. And I got to count on me, because I can guarantee that I'll be fine, because I can't put my trust and I can't put my energy and I can't put my time into man, because we've already played that game before and we've seen how that worked out. I had to take it back. I had to take it back and just have some gratitude and be thankful that I made it here and realize how far I've come, what I want to do in the future, but be very diligent. And for those of you out there, anybody who has been through the trenches and you've been pulled up out and you can actually breathe now, don't get too comfortable. Because the minute that you get comfortable, the enemy is right there waiting to try to trick you up and sweep you off your feet and can send you right back to hell. Just be careful. If you like what you heard tonight, you can head on over to LarenGaines.com and you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter, which is called Whispers of Wisdom. I have awesome, inspirational, motivational content delivered to your inbox once a month. And it is going to be centered around my company, Black Diamond Consultations. And I focus on helping people get out of debt, helping people live the path of debt-free living from spiritual, mental, physical, and financial wellness. Head on over to LarenGaines.com, sign up for the Whispers of Wisdom, the free monthly newsletter. And if you are interested, I do offer a coaching session program for anyone out there who would like to learn more about what this debt-free living is like. I offer a free 15-minute consultation. You can text me 609-200-1098. Again, that number is 609-200-1098. You may also visit the website LarenGaines.com and sign up for the free 15-minute consultation. At that moment, we will figure out if this is a great fit. You let me know what your situation is. We'll have a discussion. We'll have a little discovery call. And if it works out well, we'll set something up and get you enrolled into the coaching sessions. Designed following biblical principles, come up with a specific plan for you to help you become debt free, help you break away from the system, and move towards financial freedom. Easier said than done. So if you're in debt, I don't know who I'm talking to. I've been there before. I get it. This is not something that you just snap your finger and poof, all of a sudden you're out of debt. This is for the people who are willing and they've been waiting. They just needed the tools. They needed the encouragement. For the people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. For the people who are ready to cut their credit cards up. I must say, as I continue to coach people, as I continue to interact with people, as I continue to meet people, I am absolutely baffled by the people who are just okay with charging up on their credit cards. Just charging, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And as long as they can pay one situation and pay the minimum, rack up again, pay the minimum, and rack again, pay the minimum, rack up again, they're okay with that. But I will caution you, if you're living like that, The walls are closing in, especially in the world that we're in. We're in some difficult times, challenging times. And if you think that it's rough now and you think that it's going to get better, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I know that that might sound harsh, but that's reality. And if this week, and this week isn't done yet, hasn't been an eye opener from the situations that have been going on around this world to let you know that it's time to clean up some things because the warning shots have been fired. Previously, but they have been fired again to let you know that this is a time where we need to tighten up and don't let these distractions in the world pull you up off of getting your life together because it's going to be a situation where these walls really start closing in. I could go off on a tangent, but we already got the robots and everything else coming in, and listen, this conversation can go on and on and on. But if you think that things aren't crazy and weird now, and it's coming. In any case, I'm going to get off of that because I don't want to take us down that road. But for those of you who understand and know where I'm coming from, it takes a special type of individual. This debt-free life is not for everybody. So when I spoke at the top of the show about it's okay for people, if this doesn't work with you, if this sounds strange, if this sounds odd, I've been that strange, odd person for most of my life, and I get why I'm here doing what I'm doing here today. Today, I get it. Previously, I didn't, but today I get it. I'm talking to those people. I have something for you at LarenGaines.com. On that note, I want to say happy Father's Day to the fathers that are out there. It's Father's Day weekend. And like I said, the mothers, we roll out the red carpets for Mother's Day. Father's Day, it's like, okay, it's here. But so for the fathers, though, on a serious note, the real ones that definitely show up and continue to show up for their children, happy Father's Day. Enjoy your weekend. I know I'm going to enjoy mine. And I will see y'all the next time I see you. I want to give you a good reminder of what we have going on here. We have tonight, Financial Friday. We have Spiritual Sunday. We have Mental Monday. We have Transformational Tuesday. We have Wind Down Wednesday. And we have Coaching Sessions Thursday. I have daily content dropping on all of my social media platforms. Check them all out because there's different content on different pages. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, DLive, Twitch, Daily Motion. You might have clips here. You might have images on this one. So check me out. Everything is at Laren Gaines. You never know what's going to get posted where. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who hung out there with me tonight. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. I have awesome, great things coming in the future. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much again. And I will see you when I see you. Take care, y'all. Have a good night. Take care.